Hey now, Rob here, Rob School of Music. I am blessed today because it's a good day because we're hanging out with Peter DiStefano from Porno for Pyros. Oh my God.
Hey, Rob. Thank you
Uh,
for having me.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much for being here. I have so many questions and references. I mean, before we even get going, so I started playing guitar when I was 13. That was 1996. And that
Cool.
summer, uh, Tahitian Moon was all over MTV. And I was like,
Uh,
oh my gosh, this is amazing. What is this? And from there, I went backwards and I found the first record and everything. So like your playing is a huge influence on my playing. So I'm really
wow, that's great to hear, Rob.
absolutely, man. So we're a music school, we're a music-based YouTube channel, and I think one of the coolest questions to ask people is, how did you start? What was it that made you? Was it a concert? Was it a record? Was it a song that you're like, I want to do this with my life?
That's a good question. So when I was a child, my father, my parents were from Sicily, and my father sang and played Sicilian music. I was the first generation born out here. So he would sing songs like C'è la luna in mezzo mare, mamma mia mi mare tari, Sicilian, songs, and he wrote songs. And he was a tailor. My parents were tailors by trade, but he also made money playing, singing and playing in restaurants. He was the guitar player singer for the Rose Tattoo, a play in Beverly Hills that had a long run, and he with Tennessee Williams play, and he did that. He was on the Lawrence Welk show, um, and then the house was always the funnest when he would throw parties and sing and play. So I was like, wow, music was there, So I would go to the guitar. It was always laying around the house, and I would just hit one string and put my finger on the next fret and just go back and forth and get feelings from it. And then, of course, I have two older sisters, and they were listening to like Elvis, and there was a song, "Don't Cry, Daddy," and it's like, oh my God, the kid lost his mother, and I would start crying, and then I would listen to you know Creedence Clearwater Revival, and it was like, oh, I want to kick ass, and it was just music. They would play music, and then even Italian songs, but my father was the main thing. I would feel feelings and from the music, and it made me want to cry or rage or party and or give me courage. And so that's how I got into it. And then I wanted to play drums at first, and so I used to put like pans and pots with pencils, and
Uh-huh.
because I thought the drummer was like the crazy, it just looked violent and cool and tough. And then I used to listen to the Beach Boys and pretend I was surfing, and listen to the Beach Boys, catch a wave and you're sitting on top of the world, and surfing safari. And so because at school, you looked at the surfer kids and we're all going to go surfing. So I would play the Beach Boys. And then because the guitar was around, that's what I picked. But then my sister got me Led Zeppelin's "The Song Remains the Same" live, and that record. And I think it was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. Was my friend across the street, who was smarter than me, not a musician, just smarter. He was a surfer, and I idolized him and stuff. And he had Ted Nugent double live Gonzo, and Ted Nugent goes, if and he was just like really rude and cussed these words and said something, and when I got the record, I immediately put on "Stairway to Heaven" because I wanted to hear "Stairway to Heaven" that my sister got me for Christmas. And I put it on, and it wasn't exactly like the record. It was,
Yeah.
like improvisation. I go, this is terrible. This isn't Led Zeppelin. I wanted to hear the song because I didn't have it, and you couldn't just get things on a phone. There was no phones or
Right.
anything, so you had to wait for it on the radio. And so I thought she got me Led Zeppelin, the song "Stairway to Heaven," and it was just this just different thing. It was live and improvisation. I was like, this is terrible. So I traded "The Song Remains the Same" for Ted Nugent's double live Gonzo because it was more like the record. And then I went with friends to see The Song Remains the Same, the actual movie, and it just tore my head off. And that was it. I was like, I want to be Jimmy Page. That's it. So then I got a bow, and I just went all into it and started a band, and we did Dazed and Confused, and I did the whole John, the whole thing, and copied it and everything. And then I wanted to start express, I was getting hurt by girls, bullies, and then I wanted to start to write about that stuff. So then I started to write music, and from pain and experience, like Dazed and Confused wasn't going to cover that for me, or Simple Man from Leonard Skinner wasn't going to cut it. So I started to write songs, and that's how it started. And then I got addicted to Yngwie Malmsteen and going as fast as I could. Then I got addicted to, then Eddie Van Halen floored me. Eruption, I fell to the floor. So Eddie Van Halen, I was like a psycho fan. I went to the NAMM show, and I just totally stuck and went to him, and him and Steve Stevens did this like dueling thing.
Oh, wow.
And then afterwards, I went and jumped on him like a girl and was wrapped my legs around his, and was like smelling his hair and he hugged me. He was the sweetest guy in the world. And then I went and saw them at the Forum, one, I think, Mean Street, and I went running towards the stage, and the bouncers were trying to hold me back, and I started hitting everybody, and they carried me out like in a stretcher out of the Forum. So I'm really affected by music, especially it's feeling music. And Yngwie Malmsteen, he's so fun. He plays with so much speed, but with feeling, it's like, that's how you can get the fast speed with the feeling, and his ego and the Ferraris and his hair. And it's hilarious, And then obviously I went Jocko. He's a bass player, but I saw him with Joni Mitchell. Joni Mitchell's a huge influence. And then Pat Metheny. But then I got really into Hendrix, the whole writing words, singing, and playing guitar all in one, and feedback and stuff like that, and emotion, crazy emotion. And then Randy Rhoads, oh my God, Randy Rhoads with the whole diminished scales and his the song Diary of a Madman, that composition is incredible. And so, all the major great guitar, and then Frank Gambale with the sweeping, I love it all. And now the kids the entry level for guitar players is fantastic. Like, they just rip. And there's this guy, Matteo, who's really fast with the right hand with an electric guitar. Mm-hmm. Then I got Segovia's huge on me. Andrew Segovia, classical, mm-hmm. huge influence on me. And then Anna Vidovak for classical. And so I'm just and then Alan Holdsworth destroyed my life. And so now I do phone calls every day with Mike Watt. He calls me every morning. He has been for years. And he's like the king of punk jazz, and he thinks I'm the next guy to do that. And so I guess Perry started alternative and then started a band with me, and now we're doing punk jazz, and awesome. And that's where it's at now. And I'm 58 years old.
Dude, no, I relate to so much of that. That's actually crazy. I'm sitting here trying to rapidly in my mind take notes. Also Sicilian descent, musical family, just a couple generations removed. My great grandparents were over there, and then feeling the music. I think that's so incredibly important. That's something I try and instill to all my students at the physical school, just out in the world. Like, I'm a feel guy, and I think you got to be a sponge and take everything in. With all the internet guitar players out there, it can be intimidating because it's just, you're seeing the best of the best of the best of these people. And I always try and say to my students, you have two choices. You can be intimidated or you can be inspired. Always go with that inspiration, because you can pull little things from each guy and find your thing. I mean, Eddie, I got my who the F is Eddie Van Halen shirt on today. So we're all coming from the same place, dude.
Yeah.
So when you're taking all of these different, styles and genres in and just feeling it, what was your practice routine coming up? Like, when you first got a guitar and you said, that's it, guitar is going to be my thing. Like, was it, 5 hours a day? Was it anytime you grabbed it? Like, what was that process for you? And then how quickly was the writing developing? Because I'm a songwriter as well, and I think that's a really big way to get better at an instrument is use it to tell your story.
Yeah, well, for me, it was um, people like Jim Morrison or Elton John. Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. I would just cry listening to that song. Getting hurt by girls,
Yeah.
being, you know what I mean? The pain, taking the pain of something, and then listening to other things that are not guitar. That singers are important because great singers like you know, Led Zeppelin, Going to California, Led Zeppelin, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave, songs that are just that blues, blues songs that just say the feeling. So, I mean, songwriting, the thing is that for me, like my peers will say, like I went to NAMM show before the pandemic. It was 2019, and we did this thing called, it was speed contest. Like I'm so immature, and so I went to the NAMM show.
We're guitar players, we all are, right?
Yeah. And so Mike Watt goes, it's a hot dog eating contest, and Perry's like, you're so retarded, Peter. I'm like, and then they're trying to convince me, you're a composer, you're a song. And I'm going, no, it's competition, sports. So we did flyers for this company called Anatomy of Sound, and it was a speed competition. And I was the old drunk gunslinger in the poster that's like leaned over on the horse that's drunk. And then there's young gunslinger kids that are ready to take me on, And so we had this booth and there was a line of people and it had to be done on acoustic guitars. You know what I mean? Because, okay, but you got to do it on acoustic. And then the kids, it was hard because when you have a lot of sustain and eights on strings, it's hard. But when you're playing 12s on an acoustic,
different animal.
It's really hard, And so that's where I didn't get so slaughtered because it was with acoustics, But so I'm really into chops. I think that's important. Like, and I love the entry level, how it's getting, and these kids just they're prodigies, and that's incredible. But you can't go from mind to hand and just go, look. You can't. I mean, you can, and that's great, and I love that, and I'm all into that. But music is an expression of your life, like artists, like Van Gogh, they're painting their life. And so if just because you can go fast doesn't mean that you should, if you want to look at speed with feeling, nobody's better than Eddie Van Halen. What he wrote, the songs, they're songs like and he found David Lee Roth and they had this thing and just that. And then for instrumental rip it, like Yngwie Malmsteen, that's where you go to go as fast as you can with feeling, I think Yngwie has a lot of feeling. Like when I hear it, I love it, and it's all ego based with Ferraris and you know what I mean? And arpeggios from hell. And, it's hilarious. I love it. And I know I'm talking so much about that, but I did write a song that was a #1 hit and stayed on the charts for 5 weeks in 1993 called Pets. So that's a different thing completely. And you can write a song that goes Joan, Jonko, John, Joan, Jonko, John, Gloria, and get a hit, and make a lot of money, So you don't have to play like Yngwie Malmsteen to make a living. You can just do 3 chords if you have a singer. Hold on, some ad just came up. Okay, sorry. And it says you can use this thing anyway. But the thing is I was obsessed with Jane's Addiction. I ended up going on a surf trip with Perry. We started a band together. We wrote music together, and it was chemistry. And that's something that you can't be taught, is falling into the Beatles or falling into Led Zeppelin or falling into Porno for Pyros or whatever, whatever level, you unless you're like Jimi Hendrix or Prince, where you can by yourself with your voice and everything, or like John Mayer, somebody that has the songwriting chops, the playing chops, the looks, and everything to carry themselves by themselves with an acoustic. It's almost like being honest, like, what can I do? You might be really good at speed and this and that. So I'm going to get in a metal band with a singer that's ripping, and then I can get that way and still do my thing and show my talent, but he takes care of the lyrics and the words. And so Led Zeppelin found themselves and they did their thing, And so you can't, or maybe you can teach, I don't know. Maybe that should be a new school, like finding chemistry and mojo and putting magic together,
Yes.
But what we can do is we can help each other to teach each other vocabulary, technique, and feeling is something you can't teach. I guess you start slow, go as slow as possible, just hit one note. BB King, whoa, even Hendrix, ripping, but Machine Gun, he holds one note for the live version.
Yes.
With Buddy Miles, I think it's New Year's Eve one where it's like black and white video. You can see him
rips your heart
out. Holding the note for like 10,000 bars, just one note, but he's screaming like a horn. And he goes again, you know what I mean? Just holds it, and he's like playing like a horn. I mean, that is just as rad as going.
Absolutely.
And so, but I love it all. It's not like that's better. And the problem is, why limit yourself? Why say that's better or this? I try to never put anything down. When there's someone who's no feeling, but they're technically incredible, I'm like, I need to have no feeling and get technically better too, for moments where it's like, I don't care about you. I don't care about, if that's what the song says, that would be a great song you could write. Like, you know what? I got no feeling for you, and check this out. And then it would work in like a song like that, where you do that for a second, but then it's almost like a crazy musical. You could do something where you tap into that thing where there's no feeling. It would be incredible, and then it works great. If you don't have the talent to put emotion into it, then you could be a NAMM show example person, like for gear. Right. Like there's at the NAMM show, nobody wants to see someone going, I hurt my girl. Yep. They want to see who's the fast, like everyone's looking for who's ripping the hardest. And there's that market, and so there is a market for mind to hand. And I love it. It's incredible. It's just as important to me as someone who's crying on a G chord over and over, which is amazing, and that's just as amazing. And I would rather not have pain and just be bored because everything's perfect and just work on technique, but life happens and you get sad, and then you go to feeling,
Absolutely.
So I hope I'm not talking too much and saying,
brother, you keep talking. I'm eating this up. This is amazing, dude. No, I'm exactly that way. Like when I'm talking to my students, I'm rapid fire, blah, 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 because it's passion. It's in us.
Yeah.
You said something that stuck with me. So I was just at the NAMM show a few weeks ago, and I played with this band called Wild Plains. One of the guys who works for me, it's his band, awesome band. They have 2 guitar players. They brought me up for the last tune, so we had 3 guitar players. Prior to us was like a steel drum orchestra, and then like this virtuosic violin guy. Incredible. But when you got 3 guys shredding on guitar and feeling those notes, everyone's like, whoa. And we were on like that big stage outside Hilton, like the big.
Oh yeah, you were played that one. That's badass.
My brother's crazy. Yeah, we were on the big screen. I was like, oh my God, I'm giant.
That's cool.
You referenced pets, so let's talk about pets a little bit.
Okay.
That song's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's, I guess, F sharp, but then there's like the open strings, and then just like it's so pretty, but it's haunting and it pulls you in. And then the wah tone when the electric part comes in is one of my favorite wah tones of all time.
Well,
What
thanks.
was absolutely, man? Yeah. What was? Do you remember bits and pieces that recording process? What gear were you using? What was
Okay, when
happening?
I was a child, I'll tell you just a quick rundown as fast as I can of the song. When I was a child in the seventh grade, I remember seventh grade, whatever age you are at seventh grade, I think 13, 12 or 13. I was 13, I
Mhm.
think. I was in the seventh grade. And that's when in you went to elementary school, you had one class. And then when you went to junior high school, which was started in the seventh grade, then you started to change classes like high school,
Mhm.
and we had a cooking class, right? And then the cooking class had different tables, and you would have four people at a table or six or whatever it was. And I was at a table with a girl named Brianna Dean with a V, Brianna Dean. And I just had puppy love. I was like a kid and I was just couldn't stop. And then she was really nice to me and we liked each other. And then one day she wasn't at the table. The next day, one day she wasn't at the table. She didn't come to school. And then that day in the newspaper, um, she was murdered, her and her brother.
Oh my God.
And so, and it was like a Charles Manson type of thing. It was in Santa Monica, on the north side of Santa Monica, where the couple came in and they killed her and her brother and raped them and cut them up in pieces. And then their parents came home and found their two only kids cut up in pieces. It was tragic, horrible, destroyed me. You know what I mean? And so then I wrote a song called Brianna Dean, her name, as a kid. And it was picking with that F sharp because of the love, but it was what happened. So I did that. And then many years later, I was with Perry in a room and I started doing that riff, not the singing. I wrote words to it and everything. And I just was doing that riff. And then Perry goes, pick it up. So I picked it up and then Perry wrote the lyrics.
Wow.
And then the song went number one. And I really feel like it was her spirit that came and gave us success. So
That's
that's it. So, but that's what I mean by feeling there was something so gnarly with love, puppy love, what you need. We were both virgins, and so puppy love, she got murdered like Charles Manson type of stuff in the 70s. And it was like a copycat thing, with the Sharon Tate, and I just twisted and then making, that was the open, that was the sound of love and it being taken from you from a dark thing, the devil or whatever. And so that's Pets.
wow. That's crazy, man. That's
Yeah.
ooh, that gave me chills.
But that's what I mean by it's not like, hey, let's see who's the fastest. You know what I mean? There was no, hey, I'm going to do this because I think it's cool. I was pulling from a real life experience. And so that's not a fair song to like say, hey, I grabbed this, hey, I thought this chord was great. Hey, and then we made a number one, there was I guess, skin in the game, I guess you would say, heart in the game
Yeah.
that made that song.
It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite songs, like I said, and like it's one of the when I grab a guitar and I'm just noodling around, it falls out of my fingers sometimes, and it always makes me smile because it's such a
Yeah.
cool song.
Yeah.
All right, let me see where let's pivot for a second. Let's fast forward now. You're in Porno for Pyros, stuff's happening. You're playing on giant stages, festivals, Woodstock '94, things like
Yeah.
that. How did you? So we have a lot of our students are um, new at performing. Maybe not like chronologically, but just in their musical journey, they're earlier on. And stage fright is a tremendous thing that people deal with. What is your preparation for going onto a giant stage or even a small room? Because sometimes for me, a small room is scarier than a bigger room because it's more intimate. But like, how do you, in the beginning, I maybe not any longer, but what was your process to overcome any?
Well, I'm 26 and a half years sober.
Okay.
Okay. Um,
Congratulations. That's
I
tremendous.
thank you. Thank you. So that is a mistake to use alcohol and drugs as a way to get over stage fright.
Sure.
Now it's one word: practice.
Yes, that's what I wanted.
That's it. One word: practice. Practice, 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 nonstop.
Yeah.
And you know, when you just to the point where you're sick of it, you can't practice improvisation. I mean, you can just to get the right side of your brain. If you're left hand, you know, I mean, if you're playing this way, which I guess would be right-handed, right? A right-handed person, your right hand does your left hand. So the right side of your brain, if you're fretting with your left hand,
Yeah.
you can practice improvisation. But the left side, I learned this all from Joe Diorio. The left side, I'll tell you a story on that if we have time, but is like symbols and conclusions. You get your temas, which is your themes. Everything that is a conclusion in your themes, you practice that to the point where it's like, this is so disgusting. Then you're so prepared, you know, that it takes away the fear, you know. And then when you go for a song, you do a little bit of improvisation. That's the danger. But don't make the songs dangerous for you. And that's by practicing over and over. So I would practice all day long, every day before your gig. If you have a stage fright problem, if you don't care, I don't care, I'm not even going to practice, then great. I wish I had that problem, you know what I mean? Or that gift, you know,
right.
But I care. So we're going to practice today. Porno for Pyros. We're going to practice every single day until we hit the stage on Tuesday. Our first show is Tuesday. Today's Friday. We're going to practice Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then go play our gig Tuesday. That's amazing. And that's me and Perk and Watt. Perk's the drummer, Watt's the bass player, and Robin's the keyboardist. That's what we want to do because we don't want to drop the ball. We're scared. We're terrified. So we're going to practice.
I love it. That's awesome. Dude, I'm excited for this tour. I'm coming to the Montclair, New Jersey date. It's towards the end.
Okay.
It might be the last one. I'm not sure, but I'm psyched.
I'll put you on the guest list.
Oh, wow.
I'll put you on +3.
Oh, wow.
So
that's amazing.
Just put it so I can remember.
Wow. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
Yeah. I'm just going to put a reminder.
Wow. That's incredibly generous. Thank you.
Of course. Hold on. I was going to text it to you so it reminds me when I go into practice to talk to them and tell them what your name.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah. Let me put New Jersey. Hold on. New Jersey. There. Okay.
Thank you. That's incredible.
Sorry about that.
So let's
thank you for this interview.
Absolutely, brother. Like I'm beyond happy for this. So you stayed let me get my chronology correct in my mind. So I'm playing guitar mid to late 90s. My introduction to Perry's voice was Porno for Pyros. I knew Dave Navarro from Chili Peppers. I was like, wow, that guy looks cool in the Airplane video. But I had to go backwards to find Jane's and everything else. You've stayed in Perry's orbit. You participated in all the Lollapaloozas, right?
Yeah. I've played on the kids stage with him every year up until the pandemic. And I've played on every single one of his solo albums.
Wow.
And we've always been friends. The reason Porno for Pyros stopped was because I had a heroin habit and cancer, and I was finished. But then I had an out of body white light experience, and I did what I had to do to chemotherapy and everything for the cancer. And I did what I had to do to go and get help for my drug addiction and alcoholism. And it all worked.
Which like, there's not even, that cannot be minimized. That is one of those things is very difficult to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a fucking hero, man.
No, but you're
strong. You're strong.
No. It's a gift. It's a gift. It was a white light experience. And I don't want to get into the whole thing so people don't think I'm crazy. But there's people that do bite the bullet and have the I went through 8 rehabs, 8. And I was doomed. I was considered finished, And so when they said, we're going to all get together and do this tour and we're going to collaborate with Jane's and Porno, I was like, I got to go save my life. I can't do anything. So I committed to saving myself. And then I got into, through this guy, Harry Gregson Williams, I went and knocked on Hans Zimmer's door with a guitar synthesizer and said, I want to, play in movies and TV shows because I can't do the touring thing and the partying thing. And so he didn't answer. It was his assistant, Harry Gregson Williams. And then we came in, we hit it off. We made an album together called Rambient. And we got Peter Murphy on vocals and Flea on bass. And it was an incredible album. And then I made Venice Underground was another solo record. I got Eric Avery on bass, Kevin Haskins on drums. That was a great record. And then I just was Harry's session guy for 30 years, or not 30 years, about 25 years. And so I was able to play in all the major films, and I was able to buy a house through that and put my kids, I still got a kid in college and, stuff like that. So music to media is a great way to make money, and so, but so is making a #1 hit and playing on, you know what I mean? If you don't let drugs and alcohol get in the way, or, relationships like sleeping with your singer's wife, or, you know what I mean? And that breaks up bands too. You just got to do the next right thing, be good, and because I've done all the mistakes, and been forgiven. I forgive everyone who's done mistakes against me, and just try to be honest on it. Like in art, like in real estate, there's 3 words: location, location, location.
Right.
With art and sonic art, there's 3 words: honesty, honesty, honesty. And it's one place where you can be honest. And lyrics is hard. You can be creative, so you don't have to hurt anybody. But it's where you can be honest. And in a world where a lot of people have to lie to get ahead, or to, or hurt other people to win and stuff like that, music is a beautiful, sacred, honest place. And so it's my church. My guitar is my church.
I love that very much. Very cool. Yeah. What has the process been like now creating new music with like Little Me is a killer song, man. All the new songs are great. Like, what's that like?
Well, we pull from life experience. You can pull from anywhere. We pulled from a surf. Agua was pulled from a surf trip that we went with this guy named Strider, Sean Briley, Archie, big wave surfers. And we went surfing in Western Samoa, and we almost drowned, but it was beautiful and seeing it, but then going in there, surfing the big waves and stuff. And so we lived an experience 27 years ago or 28 years ago. And then we pulled from that and wrote new music around that. And we had riffs from back then that we pulled too and added stuff. And then Little Me was, again, something pulled from an experience that Perry had with a girlfriend in the 90s, and we wrote and we pulled those, but it has to be it doesn't have to be. You can make up a song like, I'm going to write a song about, John Wayne. I've never met him. You go in John Wayne, like Elton John did Candle in the Wind. I don't know if he ever met, Marilyn Monroe, but he wrote and had feeling. And so you can write about things that because you still feel it. If you feel it, like I'm in love with Abraham Lincoln, and what he did was great. And you go, I want, and you write a song about Abraham Lincoln and it has feeling, it could be great, So, but with Porno for Pyros or with Perry, it's where we work good together is to take experiences that we had together. And I remember those times, and then we make honest art about those experiences.
That's incredible. I love it.
So that's how we're doing the new music.
Cool.
The old music was wild because we were actually, participating in the riots and all that crazy stuff. So
that's an insane time, but great art comes out at crazy times.
Yeah. I'm just grateful we lived through it and we're here today,
Me too. Let's do a gear question real quick.
Okay.
You're on a desert island and you can take one guitar, one amp, and one pedal. What would you take? It's hard. I know.
I wouldn't bring an amp or a pedal.
Okay.
I would, right now, I would bring my Martin acoustic.
Cool. Fair answer. I like it.
Yeah.
I'd ask that question.
Do I have a drummer there? Am I alone or do I have a drummer?
You're alone. Yeah.
Definitely an acoustic.
Yeah.
Either my Martin or a nylon, but probably a Martin steel string because right now I'm into this thing where I'm using a pick and these three fingers to try to get I can show you an example.
Sure. Yeah, man.
Do we have a second to show an example?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So hold on. Sorry, it was out of tune. So with the fingers, I want to try like. That kind of stuff,
Cool.
where you're using the pick and these three fingers to try to, that kind of stuff where you just go, and you can even do chicken picking, that kind of stuff. So I'm really into that. So if I was on a desert island, I would just be doing like orchestra kind of stuff with the three fingers, like, so I could get better at that and do, and you can even do like Bach stuff, like. So I'm trying to do that on a steel string with a pick and fingers. And so I suck at it, but I'm going to get really good. Watch.
I love it, man. That's killer. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, now that you grabbed a guitar, I think this is a good time for me to pivot into my rapid fire section of the interview where I'm going to ask you a series of this or that questions like a game show. And do your very best to pick one or the other. Feel free to defend your answer. The answer is usually both, but we don't want to hear both. Okay. Ready? Okay. Humbucker or single coil pickup?
Humbucker.
All right. Les Paul or Strat?
Strat.
Okay. Does your Strat have a tremolo or a hardtail?
I have a Charvel, the first guitar, that company that worked with Eddie Van Halen. And I have two humbuckers, locking tremolos, the Floyd Rose.
Yep.
I have in my volume knob, you pull it up and it becomes a single coil in the back, or they become single coils, both pickups, and a three-way selector, and two humbuckers, Seymour Duncans. And back in the day, I had to get a Strat, and I had a guy named John Carruthers put a humbucker in the back, cut it and put it in, and then in the front, I had single coils, and then they invented these hot rails. And so I put a hot rail in the front, so it was humbuckers, but it looked like a thing. And so I played that guitar, and Charvel, it was Eddie cut it up, so I had to cut up a Strat, but now, nowadays the super Strats are everywhere. So super Strats, so it's, which is basically the cut and the feel and the width of Eddie Van Halen's guitar, but with the Les Paul neck pickup. You know what I mean? The warmth, because so I have songs like that. There's lots of warm single note things like this song right here that goes. It's called Porpoise Head. It goes. Oh, let me show you guys. You can see my fingers. There we go. So that in a neck pickup, and then I flick the switch and I go like a circus. And it's bright, and then it goes, and then back to the neck. Boom, 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 for dynamics of going back and forth from. So so the Les Paul double coils from a Les Paul, but with the rippability of a Strat, because the way they're curved and the thing goes back, you can just rip better on them.
Absolutely.
Where Les Paul's more like shaped like a traditional classical guitar, and so it's got like sharp edges.
Yeah, digs into.
And there's something about a humbucker with a Strat. The sound of the Eddie Van Halen is the best tone in the world. It's Eddie Van Halen. He's the first, he's
totally
like 10 years older than me. So, you know what I mean? He's a guy, just copied everything that he did, but then added the neck humbucker and tone, and and I added a little more, and the splitter, because I do like thin things too. So
cool, man. Cool. Yeah. I agree there. That we're on the same page there, 100%.
Yeah.
When it comes to frets, do you prefer 22 frets or 24 frets?
24. Gosh, if the more is the better.
Yeah.
More, like Yngwie Malmsteen says, more is more, less is not more. More is more. So we do more notes,
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
For your guitar picks, you like thin picks, a medium pick, or
right now it's 1 millimeter black Dunlop. 1 millimeter. Cool. Yes. So you can see it this way too. It says 1 on it. I don't know.
Yep. I like those nylon ones. Yeah.
I love this pick. It's great.
Cool.
Yeah.
String gauge, 9s, 10s, or 11s?
11s.
Yes, man.
I use a Power Slinky, the purple ones.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Me
too. Power Slinkies.
Very cool.
It's I just do.
Yeah, I like
acoustic guitars. So for like on an acoustic guitar, when you I like the sound of going, like I like the power, and then when you hit it, you can hit it hard and it doesn't fart like. Like you can rip, and they hold in, but I mean with feeling, like instead of like finesse and going, you can be angry, and hit it and they don't break, So for the music that I do, which is punk, punk jazz, I guess you would say,
we're gonna call it punk jazz.
It works, yeah.
I'm that way too. I'm very heavy with my right hand, and if I play anything less than 11s, I break the strings.
Oh wow, you play 11s too?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Oh wow, dude! Yeah. I don't know anyone who plays 11s. You're the first person I met. It's usually 10s, and then the super shredders use 8s.
Yeah, that feels like
I played
doll hair to me. Like it just that E string is.
I've never even experienced an 8. I've done 9s and 10s, and the 9s I was breaking.
Yeah,
and the finesse. Like when we start with songs like, and the thing about Porno for Pyros, or the thing about you can do a song, like if I go, I got the devil in me, it's a clown. Where I like to use jazz chords. You know, like that's what was different about Porno for Pyros was we use jazz, you know? So in E, like you can do, you know, those vocabulary. So there's, you know, blues. And then there's this scale. And then there's diminished. You know, for E. And then there's harmonic, you know. All E, and then there's all that vocabulary, you know, and then the whole country, you know, and so there's then there's this, you know what I mean? There's so much, and a lot of players to me, they stay in the pentatonic blues vocabulary, you know. So Holdsworth was like, fuck, excuse my language, but like,
we're house of art. We say words.
Yeah. So vocabulary is really interesting to me, you know. But then I mean, how can you beat this? You know, like you know, and you're saying to a girl, if the sun refused to shine, I would still be loving you. You know what I mean? Like nothing can. Again, I'm sorry for saying nothing can beat that, but yeah, no, I mean, this is bitching. You know what I mean? That's great. Just as great too. But yeah, but it's you know, but to just be romantic with a guitar and tell a woman you love her. I mean, that's what is so beautiful. But then so is vocabulary and ripping and all that stuff. So I want to do it all. More is more.
Dude, more is more. That's my mantra for this week, man.
Yeah.
It's funny you say the 11s and the jazzier chords. So coming up, like I said, I just started playing guitar at 13. I'm into you guys. I'm into so many different things. The 90s were a very eclectic time for music.
Yeah.
And the bands that I found myself playing in were more Metallica-esque rock, traditional rock bands.
Yeah.
I go to college, I study music. I had a minor in jazz guitar. And I was like, what are all these different chords? I didn't even realize them. And then listening back to your tunes, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That's what I'm hearing. And it was my jazz guitar teacher who recommended the 11s, which now fast forward, you know, X amount of years later, in my playing, you can hear all these different things when those strings are a little bit thicker, that if they were thinner strings, it gets all muddy and mushy. So,
yeah.
Oh my God, what a great little tangent there. I loved that.
Yeah, and I would love to jam with you one day. Maybe we can do something at next year's NAMM show or something, and we can.
Dude, I'd love that. I'm
something
1 to 2 times every year, so that would be incredible.
Yeah, we'll figure something out where we can play together.
Awesome, dude. Okay, so I got a few more of these rapid questions. I'll just jump around to keep.
Sorry if I'm knocking you off with.
Dude, no,
I'm
not at all.
Passionate, you know. I see all the guitars behind you.
Oh my gosh, it's nearly pornographic, pun intended.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a lot to tune.
Porno for guitar.
Yeah, that's what my channel is. It's my OnlyFans. Kidding. All right, for your amps, do you prefer to use the gain within the amp or like put a pedal in front of it to push it?
Well, I like clean stuff, so I want to use a pedal.
Okay.
Just to go from dirty to clean. So what I have is a Bogner, line 6 Bogner that they gave me, and I put it as clean as possible. It's all tube. I like tube in that band in Porno for Pyros. And then I use the direct out, you know, the loop, effects loop out, going into the front of a Marshall.
Oh wow.
That's set clean also. And then the effects loop out from that Marshall into a third Marshall. and that is a little dirty. So I have this like these 3 amps going at once, and then I have my first pedal that I'm plugged into is a super overdrive with the drive at, I guess you would say 3 o'clock. If you were looking at a clock at 3 o'clock, the drive, the tone is at 3 o'clock, and the level's all the way up.
Nice.
And then it goes in front of the wah. So it goes, it like slams the wah.
Cool.
Yeah, it makes it instead of wah, wah, wah. And then I have a tube screamer after the wah. And that's set with the drive at 11 a.m. and the tone at 1 p.m. and the level all the way up. Then I have another super overdrive that the level is at 3 o'clock. The tone is at 12 o'clock. And the drive is at 11 a.m. And then I have a digital delay. And that's set at the pace when Jimmy Page is going jump, jump with his bow. Jump, jump. That slapback, that speed of slapback, jump, jump. Joan. It's not like digitally perfect. It's just when I think of Jimmy Page doing that. And then I have 4 repeats instead of 1. Like it goes, John. And the fourth one's barely, you can hear it, but you can hear it by yourself. And then that's all I have. And that's it.
So for something like when you're playing Pets, are you putting on the drive before the wah to get that sound? Is that wah sound?
The first solo is the drive after the wah. Okay. Then the second one's the first one.
Cool.
And that goes, screams at but I had on that first record a color sound wah from England, 1968. Cool. And it has one of a kind sound, you know. It's really just, it screams. It's just the technology of it. And I brought it on the road and it fell apart. And so I've never had that same sound. I've ordered them and had them brought, and they're just, I can't get that sound anymore. So I just use a regular Dunlop wah. Most people don't care. I mean,
it's so weird. Like as guitar players, we can nerd out for days on vintage gear. Yeah. I have back there, you can barely see it, a 68 original Univibe. And it's the sound that every Univibe's trying to emulate, but I wouldn't, that doesn't leave this place, man, because it is so fragile. It's old. I mean, that's how old is that? That's older, you know? So
yeah. And it was funny because yesterday we tried a wireless system, and wireless, I do DJing too and playing guitar, and I don't use apps. I go directly, I use software and directly into the PA system, and I use wireless, and it all works with what's going on. But with Porno for Pyros, with the band, with the tone, I tried to use the wireless. And when I took off the volume, because I use the volume knob to go clean and dirty, you know, I surf with the volume knob. When I went back to do Agua, the song Agua, the new one, and I do the acoustic strumming, it was the lows and mids were missing. It was brittle and high-endy. And I was like, I need that 25-foot chord for the tone. And everyone thinks I'm crazy. They call me crazy, but I could hear it. It was like, it sounds terrible. To me, no one could know, or maybe you would know. You know, you would know.
Wireless, and so tones suck.
No, it's just I don't know why, and batteries too. Like when I record, I like to have batteries, not AC power, because it's perfect. Where the batteries, they suck. They're like tubes. They're elastic. They have elasticity. So with the tubes and the batteries, this is for Porno for Pyros, you know. For my band Land Song, everything's direct. It's DJ music. It's dance. It's remix, mashup. It works to be digital, you know, like it's just digital. It's DJ music, you know, dance music, you know. But with the band Porno for Pyros, where it's explosive music with real drums, real guitars, real bass, real singing, you know, and then the samples can be electronic, you know, but the core of it is like a rubber band. It's elastic. It's not brittle. And so I'm crazy about that stuff, you know.
Dude, I'm right there. I was having an in-depth conversation with this buddy of mine, Nick Perry. He's a big guitar player as well, and
Cool.
he has an absurd collection of vintage fuzz face pedals, and he buys these used batteries with specific amounts of juice left in the batteries because like in those old fuzz faces where the power level is in that battery drastically changes the tone. And
Totally.
it's an art form to be able
Yeah.
to hear that and know like no, it has to be right there, and that's
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, I have one just effect question because no one ever seems to. This is a polarizing one. So for modulation, do you prefer a phaser or a chorus pedal?
Both, but I'm not allowed to say both.
Well, the answer
So
is both, of course.
I
But
would say a chorus because I could do more with a chorus
cool.
in terms of songwriting than with a phaser. But I loved the whole Van Halen thing with the phaser, you know, on Ain't Talking About Love and and stepping on it. Yeah. So but yeah, of course. If I had one to pick, it would be a chorus.
Okay. Beatles or Stones?
Oh my God, that's the hardest question I've ever been asked.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I guess I mean you could George Harrison's My Sweet Lord, it was saved my life, that song, and begging to be with a higher power. I mean, that's as good as it gets. And then Let It Be, oh my God, just those two songs just so heavy. And then anything, all the stuff that Lennon did, and then the Abbey Road's such a huge influence on me. But the Stones, I mean, I sat around and I mean, Can't You Hear Me Knocking's the heaviest guitar intro of all time, and Monkey Man, it's just, a cold sack, I'm using lemon squeeze. It's just so badass. And then songs like Lady Jane, where you could hear the strings, the squeaking on the strings, and Angie is gigantic. That whole intro, Keith Richards is a masterful guitar player. And a lot of people overlook that because they want the Ingve thing, But as a composer, Keith Richards is an incredible composer, and as a badass riffs, it's Keith, and Jimmy, it's Keith, Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Yngwie Malmsteen, Frank Gambale, Alan Holdsworth, Joe DiOrio. I mean, that's 10 right there. That's enough,
Right.
I could do the rest of my life on those 10 guys, But then there's all the singers, I want to play guitar. I want to do lead lines like, the jazz singers, like Frank Sinatra and and then Coltrane's a huge influence on me. There's this after he passed away, they put out a record called Interstellar, Interstellar Space, John Coltrane, Interstellar Space. And it's just him and a drummer. And it's like you leave the earth and you go into space and you go into black holes and you go into the whole, dark energy where it's expanding the universe faster than the speed of light. And then there's dark matter, which is binding the galaxies together with gravity. And I just go there when I hear this stuff, And so I'll do a thing like with guitar where you're playing, and you're okay. So you're going, like, where you just, so John Coltrane brought me into that world where it's you're completely free and you're free playing in space, And so that is, most people I send it to, they just go, this is terrible. I can, anybody can do this, but but to feel it and love it and do it, is different,
I'm gonna
and
check.
so I just love it, but you can't, I can't make a living doing that, I have to write songs, and get a singer and then get, sell, tickets and stuff like that. But I do incorporate in Porno for Pyros that kind of playing. And I did it when we played Lollapalooza in 2022 on the big stage. Um, we played right after Manskin, and I was doing this, I do a thing, with distortion, it's a lot easier, but I do a thing where I go, you know what I mean? With distortion and a wah wah, it's really cuts, but like if it's, so, but I'm doing it like a bumblebee everywhere on the neck, and it's like with vocabulary that's breaking all the rules. It's like the wrong notes, you would call it. But to me, it's not wrong notes, because in life, we get stomach aches, we get in car crashes, we get sick. It's not harmony. Life isn't harmony. So how you can use the wrong notes is just tap into what's wrong in life. We're at war, you know what I mean? There's murder, there's rape, there's, lying is like this is the truth. So say it's an A, and you go, and then someone's lying to you and not telling you the truth, and you go, and then you go, you know, that's discord. That's life. So you can use discord, when it calls for it, in expression, in art, and so like Van Gogh was like, he like a good artist at his time was people who could see something and it was like a photograph, they didn't have photographs. So when you were a good artist, when what they saw was exact representation of what they painted, but he made warped things and it was original, and so sorry, there's this light on my face. Okay, that's better. So do both, do perfect things and then do warped things, because life it isn't perfect, and that's a way to be original too, is to just find a way to express what you love your own way.
I love all of that, man. I put that in everyone that I work with. A big thing, young guitar players, musicians in general, they're afraid to make mistakes. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've learned everything I've learned from the mistakes I've made. I look
Yeah.
for mistakes. I hope I never have a performance where I don't make a mistake, because that would be boring. I want to get
Well, I
myself.
mean, that's why when I wasn't prepared to play guitar, and I ran into my closet and pulled out a guitar, was all out of tune, and and I didn't get a chance to practice or warm up with these ideas that I want to do, the pick and the three fingers. And that was from watching this guy Matteo from Italy, that's at this, I forgot his last name, Macalusuco or something.
I know you're talking
Matteo
all
M.
the fingers. It's crazy.
Yeah, and he does but he uses this, and this. So I want to do this, and this, so I can have the pick at the same time and do pick stuff and rip. So, but he inspired me, and he's a kid, a kid from YouTube Kid.
Yep. I think he was
That's
just on
that.
with piano. It's like crazy.
Excuse me. You know who I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What's his last name?
I don't know his last name, but he was just on with Rick Beato on his
Yeah,
channel.
that's the guy, Matteo Macaluco or something like that. I'm really inspired by him. I followed him, I even commented on this stuff. And there's two ways you can go. You can see something and get jealous and put it down, and say, well, that guy doesn't play with feeling, or that, I'm into, or you can just go, I'm jealous. Oh my God, I want to do that. So you start trying, you know what I mean? And jealousy is natural. And I say, take the jealousy and practice with it. Use that energy as inspiration to go and try to do that, instead of putting it down and going, you know what? Too much is, less is more. I'm into players like, how about that's fantastic. I can't do that, but I'm going to work on getting better at that, and I'll do my own speed of that, but I'll get better. And so I think you should turn over every stone, look at everything and take from everything. That guy's technique's incredible. I need to work on my technique. That guy's feelings plays with so much feeling. I need to get more emotional when I play. That person has great tone. Like the Edge was incredible. He was not this guitar player, but what he did with delays and effects and made these songs, he's like the richest guitar player of all time, from U2, Edge. And so I'm hugely influenced by him, and he's not like a Eddie Van Halen guitar. He's a he uses his effects and they write these gorgeous songs. And he was in the right band with the right singer and the right spiritual thing, and they've been very successful. So there's that. But you don't have to put down the rippers, and you don't have to put down, oh, that's all effects. You do both.
Right. I in my bands growing up, we never had a keyboard player, so I was always the effects guy. There's over here my pedal wall back there. You can't see it.
Oh, that's so great. I love your place. I want to move in.
Please do. Dude, when you're on the East Coast, man, I would love to host you here. We could, I don't know. We're about.
Well, I'm going to see you at our final show in New Jersey, and I'll put you on. You can bring 3 of your friends or family members or whatever you want.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks,
you're amazing.
Dude. Thank you so much for your time here, man. This is, I'm very appreciative, and I implore everyone to check out the new music and go on the tour and follow all the other stuff. I'll put links in with everything, so we'll get the word out there. But dude, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you in New Jersey.
Yes, brother. I will be there.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, dude. Be well. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.